What I love most about the halftime performance is the fact that MAGA lost their shit. That tells me that they had an idea of the messages that was being delivered during Kendrick's performance. But listen, even with this analytical lens that I have to be able to break down the politics of what it is that our politicians are saying and doing and how that connects to laws and policy and what's going on legislative wise, that lens does not translate over musically. My analytical lens does not break down what is being said musically. It does not break down what is being said when it comes to music and the visuals and the imagery. So, yeah, I have to go out and find the ones who are able to break it down. Maybe you should do the same.
I know we all caught the shade that Kendrick was throwing at Drake during this halftime show performance. The A minor necklace, bringing out Serena Williams to Crip Walk, the sweet, innocent, but fucking diabolical smile in the camera during Say Drake. When I tell you, I was giggling and kicking my feet when he said, Say Drake. I know it was messy. I know it was messy and petty and everything that we love about Kendrick Lamar, but I need y'all to lock in because all truth, no J-Lo. I need y'all to also understand the political messages that he was sending as well. Start off with Samuel L. Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam saying, "Welcome to the Great American Game." Bitch, he was not talking about football. The Great American Game is how our government wants us to behave. Silent, complicit, going along with whatever the fuck they're doing. We get into Kendrick Lamar saying the revolution will be televised, you picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Essentially saying that he is not just going to fall in line, be complicit, he goes against what the government wants. Then we have Samuel L. Jackson come back and he says that this is too loud, too reckless, and too ghetto, and asks Kendrick Lamar if he really knows how to play the game. And Kendrick Lamar goes straight into humble. Sit down, be humble, exactly what the government wants us to do. And then immediately after Kendrick Lamar stops doing what the government wants him to do, stops sitting down, stops being humble, we see Uncle Sam come back and say, deduct one life. Please, are we following along? Then Kendrick Lamar teases Not Like Us but doesn't perform it. He says, I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue. That was a dig at Drake because, child, you know he is on the phone with his lawyers as we speak. Also, he says he's going to slow things down, meaning he's going to fall back in line, be silent, be complicit, not go against the government. That's when he brings out SZA, the performance is chill, and then after that, we see Uncle Sam comes back out and he says, this is what America wants, nice and calm. Samuel L. Jackson says, you're almost there, don't mess this up, and then that's when Not Like Us begins to start. Before he gets into Not Like Us, he says some really important points. Number one, he says that there is a cultural divide. Self-explanatory. Number two, he says 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. If you're not familiar with the phrase 40 acres and a mule, that was a promise made to black people after the end of the American Civil War, in which they were promised land and resources to help them build economically. This was a promise made by the government to black people, which was broken, which is why Kendrick Lamar says this is bigger than the music. It points to the fact that the American government will lie to you, which is why you should not trust them, why you should not be complicit, why you should not be silent. I think the greater message that Kendrick Lamar was trying to convey is that we have got to stand up. America is a game and we cannot play the game in a way that Uncle Sam, i.e. the government, wants us to. Hope this helps. Peace and love. Talk to you later.
Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was a masterclass of symbolism. Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam wasn't random. Kendrick was setting the stage to call out America's system. Then he says the revolution is about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. A direct nod to Gil Scott-Heron, telling us that change is coming. Then the dancers moving counterclockwise showed time reversing, undoing the system. Then they form an American flag during Humble, exposing the nation's contradictions. And Kendrick performing Not Like Us, a Drake diss right in front of Trump, that wasn't just about Drake. It was a message to those in power who manipulate and divide. Then Game Over being displayed wasn't the end of the show. That was Kendrick saying that the old system is done.
Ledisi sung the national black anthem. Jon Batiste sung the national anthem. Kendrick Lamar, K-Dot, performed at the halftime show with all black dancers who were dressed in red, white, and blue. They formed themselves into the American flag and sent multiple messages throughout the entire performance about what it means to be black in America. And there were other messages weaved throughout the performance that I'm still breaking down. Samuel L. Jackson narrated the entire thing, dressed as Uncle Sam. Serena Williams made an appearance and danced. My wife SZA performed. And then to top it all off, the Eagles won against the Chiefs 40-22. The Eagles, their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is a black man. The revolution was televised. The revolution was televised, and it was televised on one of the largest stages ever. Good night, and happy Black History Month.
I think MAGA is most upset about Kendrick Lamar's performance because he made it simple enough that they could understand. So they were screaming DEI higher because their conception of DEI higher is that if you're black and qualified, you don't deserve a job. If you're white and unqualified, you do. And throughout this performance, Kendrick Lamar basically schooled them on so much. Just remember, these people are sitting in a stadium watching the NFL, which is 53% Black American, compared to 14.4% in the general population. And they're fine to watch that, to watch the physical labor of African Americans. And here you have a halftime show where the intellectual labor of African American is being showcased. And every element was something they should have probably understood in school, but he made it clear. Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam is clearly a dual reference to the expected minstrelly American society has to black men, and the fact that this country was built by black bodies in slavery. But he doesn't make it subtle.
Too reckless, too ghetto. Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up.
And he's not talking about Super Bowl, he's talking the game of America.
40 acres in the mule, this is bigger than the music.
All the promises of America, including in Reconstruction, 40 acres and a mule to anybody who had been enslaved, are constantly being reneged. And yet African Americans are playing the game of American succeeding. And it is not just for white America, but all of America. The symbolism of both this game and the prison. We've locked ourselves into this game. We put ourselves in a win-lose state, and we could all lose because we could have started, but we chose to be divided. Now remember, the American flag is not just propaganda. It is often used as a critical tool in discussing the country we're in. And listen, this is a country that is not always going to march in the same direction. Notice here, the blue shirted people are not here. So you see where he's going to perform is just a segment of the overall community. And why is that? Why are we divided? Like fools, we focused on the wrong thing. But
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time with the wrong guy.
And while the flag is divided, while the nation is divided, change is still coming. They cannot stop it. So it is the end. Game over.